Four, three, two. Welcome to the Yappin podcast. I'm your host, Rafa, and let's start yapping. So today, the Las Vegas Raiders fired Antonio Pierce as we predicted here on Sunday that would happen. We thought it would happen yesterday. It happened today. I'm sure Ryan Clark, Richard Sherman, everyone who's on social media that thinks they fired him because he's black, I'm sure going insane right now that he didn't get a fair chance. Listen, when you look at it, and we can go through it every week, and Eddie on the Two Nobodies had a big rant about it, and a bunch of Raider, I don't know, apologists, or I don't know what they are, to be honest with you. Some of those fans think that Antonio Pierce didn't have a fair chance. Like, did you not watch the games? His poor clock management, his poor decision making. I mean, the decision to start the quarterback that he chose went away from what made him successful a little bit to end the previous season when he was given the interim job. And so where do the Raiders go from here? All the Raider fans, I'm sure, are dying for Ben Johnson. You don't have a team or an offense that is Ben Johnson like, that he would be, that would appeal to a guy like Ben Johnson. To be honest with you, the Raiders don't have much that would appeal to anyone. They have a great tight end, or looks to be one of he could be one of the all-timers if we're being honest. And I know he's a rookie, but he had a phenomenal rookie year with inconsistent play at quarterback. Some people will say that's why he was that good, was because it's easier to find a big target like that. But either which way, he was phenomenal. And you have a top 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, defensive end. You spend some money at defensive tackle. Your secondary is not horrendous, but still, who does this job appeal to? Mike Vrabel? Definitely not Rex Ryan, because we know he wants the Jets job. Brian Flores? I mean, the names are the rumors, the names, all of that. It's going to be obviously it's going to be coming up in the coming days, and we'll see if they interview Brian Flores. Brian Flores stated today that he's going to take every interview that everyone who requests an interview with him, he will take. I believe he should coach the Jets. That's just my opinion. But he will get plenty of interviews. As we know, the league has the Rooney Rule. So some franchises might have a decision already made, but have to bring in a guy like Brian Flores anyways. How about Aaron Glenn in Detroit? Do the Raiders look at Aaron Glenn in Detroit, defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions? A unit that some people may think not very good. They had an injury, and they looked really good against the below average Sam Darnold. But back to the Raiders.
I have a question for you, Rafa.
Yes.
So Eddie, obviously we have the Two Nobodies group chat. Eddie talked about it. What do you feel about Pete Carroll or any of the college guys looking down, coming up? What do you feel about that?
Man, dude, Pete Carroll. I mean, Pete Carroll would be an addition for any team. Whoever, if he were to come back to coaching. If I'm Pete, I come back to coaching, I'd want to go and coach at USC. That's to kind of just like cement the legacy's already cemented there. But him coming back and then for them to rise again, it's like, fuck, Pete was that good. And if he were to go back to USC and rise to that level once again, then Pete could be in the conversation as one of the 2 best college head coaches of all time. But I don't see Pete going to coach the Raiders. That's my opinion. But Nick Saban, I don't see that either. Urban Meyer is a name that I don't think will ever touch the NFL. But what do you think about Pete?
I agree with you. I love the Pete to USC train. I already think he's a top 5 coach in college football history, but him going back and re-cementing that legacy, especially lifting them out of the hole that USC is in now, I'd much rather see Pete. I'm going to be honest, Rafa. I'm a college football homer, so I would rather see all these greater NFL coaches or all these greater coaches go down to college football, because I think that the game is growing. So that's my take. I think Pete to USC is the better fit.
I don't ever think Nick Saban goes back to the NFL because there's a few people out there that will always, we can debate who the greatest head coach of all time is in just football in general, right? Like it's pretty much said that Bill Belichick's the best head coach in the NFL of all time, and that Nick Saban is definitely the best head coach of all time in college football. So, I mean, for Nick to go back to the NFL, it would have to be like a better situation than what the Raiders is. Like if I'm Nick Saban and I'm looking to go back to the NFL, there's only two teams that that are currently, and we don't know yet about Dallas, that are currently looking for a head coach. And for me, it would be the Bears or the Cowboys. If the Cowboys, and that's just me throwing shit out there. I don't think Nick Saban would even go back to coach in the NFL. Would quit his job now to go back to the NFL. I just don't see it. But the Raiders need to, once they bring in the head coach, that'll be obviously the identity. But what head coach are they looking at? An offensive head coach? Because that's not your best unit. In reality, which unit is better? It's not like you have a top 10 defense. You don't have a top 15 offense. Like there's, you're gonna be limited here to certain things. And I know it's the Raiders, it's Vegas, it's Tom Brady, and there's history there. But and you don't have a quarterback. Realistically, they don't. So the head coach that comes in will get to choose their quarterback, maybe sign one, draft one, whatever. So, but I just don't see. I definitely don't see Ben Johnson. Maybe Mike Vrabel. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Cliff Kingsbury, giving him another shot. I don't know. I don't think he should be an NFL head coach, is my opinion. How about Aaron Glenn from Detroit? I think that would be a good spot for the Raiders.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So this is, kind of on topic, kind of not on topic, but it is a question I have is, generally speaking, do you prefer the offensive or defensive-minded coach?
Man, you know what? I prefer a defensive-minded head coach, but the offensive coordinator just has. And look at Washington. So Washington has Cliff Kingsbury and Dan Quinn, who's been a defensive coordinator for how long? And look at how successful they were. And that team with a rookie quarterback, nobody thought they were going to win 5 games. So Dan Quinn, defensive head coach. You have Cliff Kingsbury in there who can definitely call plays. I just think there's so much, there's rumor, they're throwing out there Matt Nagy, offensive coordinator. We've seen Matt Nagy with a rookie quarterback that didn't do so well. And I know it was Mitchell Trubisky, but I believe it was Mitchell Trubisky, but it is what it is, or might have even been Justin Fields, one or the other, but it didn't look good. Right. So, I don't know. If I'll be honest with you, I think that the Raiders go in the direction of Aaron Glenn from Detroit if they can't get Mike Vrabel. But there's a rumor that Mike Vrabel is who they want, and we'll see what happens. I'm not a Mike Vrabel fan, and I think Mike Vrabel should end up in New England. But
why don't you like Mike Vrabel?
It's not that I didn't like him when he was in Tennessee. I thought they fired him too late. But you know what? When it comes down to it, it's kind of like the Mike McCarthy thing. Like we look at it, and I always talk shit about head coaches all the time, and that's what I'm here to do. All right, and so I don't think that Mike McCarthy's a head coach, a bad head coach. I just think his time in Dallas and what he's ever going to do in Dallas, that's it. It's over. Like you couldn't take him to the next level. You need to move on. I think with Mike Vrabel, it was the same thing. I think with there's certain head coaches that they have the roster and they're not able to win, or they were able to get to the playoffs or whatever, and they couldn't take that next leap to maybe the title game or the Super Bowl or whatever. And I believe Mike Vrabel did get to an AFC title game with Tennessee. I'm not sure, but I know he did get a bye for sure. So, but people are going to say he had Ryan Tannehill or whatever. But I thought they fired him too late. I thought he had already you run out of time. Like it's over with. You need to find something else. You need to make a change, whether it's the head coach or whatever. That change needs to be made. Like Mike McCarthy has been. The Bears asked for permission to interview Mike McCarthy, and I don't know if Jerry Jones has said yes or no. I haven't looked into it, but Mike McCarthy could do well there. I think Mike McCarthy's time in Dallas has just run out. Like, you know what? He didn't get it done. He didn't get to even an NFC title game, and that's it. I mean, the team's good. I believe the team's good enough for 12 wins, locked up next year. It's my opinion. But I think with Mike McCarthy, it just kind of ran out. I mean, you look, the guys maybe lose focus. Maybe there's the respect factor. You're not motivating the guys enough. I think that runs out. Once the team should be better than what they are, or they have a little bit of success and then they regress. I think it doesn't make them bad head coaches. It's time to move on. And maybe, that's what I thought of Mike. That's what I thought initially. Mike Vrabel should have been fired way before he was with Tennessee. And then when they did, now people are interviewing him for a job. So obviously he's got to be good at something, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
so Mike McCarthy is interviewing with the Bears. Do you think that situation works out? Do you think it's a good fit? What is your, total thoughts on the whole Mike McCarthy Bears situation?
Mike McCarthy's a decent offensive play caller. Yeah, he's a decent offensive play caller. He's not terrible. He did win a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. He's not bad. And he's an experienced head coach to come in there with Caleb Williams, and I think it could work. Do I think they're gonna win the Super Bowl? No. The Bears aren't a Super Bowl roster. Yes, they have pretty good defense. They've spent money on the defensive side of the ball, paying some guys, and they have some guys on offense, but they still have a second-year quarterback. He's going to be a second-year quarterback next year in arguably what is the toughest division in football, with at least this year was with the Vikings, Lions, and Packers. So that's. But I do like McCarthy to the Bears. Gives them an offensive-minded head coach who's done well. I mean, he did well with Dak. I mean, Dak had career year last year. He's and Rodgers won how many MVPs with him? A couple, I believe, and they won a Super Bowl. So it's not like he's, a total turd. I think he was just a turd at the end of Dallas. The Dallas time just expired. Like, that's it. It's time to move on. So
I get you. Yeah, I get you.
And I think it's a perfect out for Jerry. Like, let him interview him and fuck it. If they want him, they want him, and that's it. And you know what? It is what it is. It's a lot easier than you firing him. But, if Jerry Jones is the type of guy, and this I heard from a Cowboys fan today, Jerry Jones is the type of guy that because you want now his guy, he will not want to keep his guy. So
he's just like a contrarian almost.
Yeah, like you want his toy, and who he didn't want to play with anymore, and now you want him, so he might want to keep it.
Like a fucking child.
Yes, yeah, that's what I heard from a Cowboys fan today who lives in Dallas, and he's a huge Cowboy fan, and so, but we'll see. I think it's a perfect out for Jerry. Listen, let him interview with Chicago if they want him. Wonderful. You get out of him, and hopefully you go out and get Ben Johnson, which is what I think is going to happen for the Cowboys.
Well, that's that. Well, there's another topic that we have on the list, and it's your boy Sam Darnold. And he just did not look good on Sunday, and you were super excited about it. So I'm going to give you the floor.
Yeah. So listen, a couple weeks I said, oh, you know what? I made a mistake with Sam Darnold, yada, yada, yada. And then on Sunday, watching that man play football, because I saw him make a throw against Seattle there to win the game. That was a hell of a play, right? So I'm like, oh, a great fucking play. He played his ass off, right? And then you see him on Sunday, and in the red zone, I think it was 3 possessions in the first half in the red zone, might have even been inside the 15-yard line, where he misses just these wide open throws. There was one on third down where he has Addison, like right out the break, wide open at the pylon. Like literally all he needed to do was step back, throw it to the pylon. He's wide open. He looked at him. He looked and then looked the other way and just threw it away 2 seconds later, 3 seconds later. Like it was not, and he was not impressive against a defense that hasn't been impressive. And I know they were 14-3. I know he threw 35 touchdowns. He also had 12 interceptions. But a lot of that and he threw for 4,300 yards. He's one of the 4 quarterbacks to throw over 4,000 yards and 35 touchdowns. The other 3, Joe Burrow, Lamar, and Jared Goff. But I mean, am I going to get the Joe Burrow that I got on Sunday if I'm the Minnesota Vikings next year with Brian Flores, in my opinion, going to be gone? And when we look at their defense was, I think, tied for 3rd in takeaways. They were tied for 4th in sacks. They were number 2 against the run. I mean, the defense was a big part of that team this year. And for you to, I know he's played well, and I know he's had great games, but he's also had really bad ones. Like, this will kind of, it's like a testament to Brian Flores' defense. They won a game where this man completed 45% of his passes, and they won the game. So when he completes 45% of his passes and they win a game, it's, how good is he really? And I'll tell you right now, on Monday night, they play the Rams. Matthew Stafford is under the weather right now. I guess his family came down with COVID. Supposedly COVID is back in LA. But that's for another day. Or maybe not. Maybe at the end of the episode. We'll see. But so Matthew Stafford right now is quarantined or whatever the fuck it is. So who knows? But I believe on Monday, I believe the Vikings will lose. And it will be, I think, because of Sam Darnold. And if they win the game, I don't believe it will be because of him. I believe that Sam Darnold is one of those quarterbacks that has benefited from, number one, his offensive weapons. He has one of the 2 best receivers in the league. He has Jordan Addison, who's one of the 15 or 20 best receivers in the league. He has a running back in Aaron Jones that's got more experience than anyone and who played well. And he has a really, really good tight end. And the defense, like I just told you, I think they were top 5. And they were for sure sacks, yards, and rush yards and turnovers, by the way. And they were plus 12 on takeaways. That's tied for 3rd in the league in takeaways. They were plus 12, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, he benefited from all that. And now for a team that, let's say next year, someone like the Tennessee Titans or the New York Giants or even the Raiders, teams that need quarterbacks, will they pay this man? And today someone came out and said the Vikings should look to trade J.J. McCarthy because he would be the number 1 pick in this year's draft. I don't believe that.
No.
I don't think J.J. is better than Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. Although Shedeur, I struggled after watching BYU them, but in that BYU game. But if I'm Minnesota, I especially with if they have a 1st round exit, I cannot, I won't be able to unsee the last 2 games, because if they do lose on Monday, I believe it will be because of Sam Darnold. And if he has a bad outing, that will be 2 terrible outings in 2 must-win games. And all this is just, I'm saying it now, but the game hasn't been played. But the last time we saw him step out on that field, he was atrocious. He was horrendous. He was Sam Darnold of the New York Jets. He was Sam Darnold of the Carolina Panthers. That's bottom line what he looked like. And all quarterbacks have bad games, but to have a bad game in a must-win game against a defense that's been injured, okay? I mean, and you had the opportunities. Your defense made plays to put you in situations that where you should have been up at least 17-10 in that first half. I'm not giving you 3 touchdowns inside the 15, but at least 2. Hell, fuck it, get 1. But you didn't get any. You struggled to get a first down on one of them. I don't believe you even got a first down, and it was they kicked the field goal. And you were put in great positions. And for a quarterback that that is probably going to be paid a boatload of money, and I'm saying a boatload of money, $35-40 million. And for a team to take a chance on him like that, after watching him on Sunday night, I don't know. I mean, you pulled up. I don't know if you have the game log, but he had 40 on Sunday night. I think he was 18 of 41 for 200 and something yards. 18 of 41. That's under 45%. And against the Jets, he was like a 45.2%. They won that game. But this game, I mean, they needed him. He had the opportunities, and he didn't get it done. Is that a quarterback that you want to sign for your team? Or is that a quarterback that Minnesota wants to keep? And I understand the 14-3. You can repeat it 100 times. Ryan Tannehill was a number 1 seed in the AFC some years back I believe at 13-3.
Here's his game log.
Is that there's his game log there. So he's 43.9% against the Lions. And then he has another game against the Jets where he's 45.2%. Like, is that a quarterback that you want to give a boatload of money to and your franchise? If I'm the New York Giants, do I draft Travis Hunter at 3 and then expect this guy to throw the ball to Malik Neighbors? I don't think so. And not for $35 or $40 million. It's my opinion. I know he was 14-3, and that's what everyone's going to keep saying. If he's a first-round exit and it's on him, I don't think a team could go out and pay him. I really don't, because I've seen too many years of Sam Darnold, and yes, people are going to say he didn't have receivers, he didn't have this, he didn't have that. But I can't unsee those 2 games. I can't. At least not this last one. I can't unsee it. It was horrendous. And he was in the red zone. It's not like, no, I can't unsee that. I can't unsee the first half on Sunday night against the Colts. I can't unsee any of that. But that's my take on Sam Darnold. We will see how he fares on Monday night against the Rams, which they are favored, by the way. Minnesota goes in there 1.5 favorite. And we'll see. That's going to be the last game of the first round. I think it's going to be a great game. But I like the Rams in that game on the Sam Darnold factor.
Can we get a cut?
We get a cut bet. I'm going to take the Rams. I'm going to take the Rams money line. I don't need the 1.5. I will take the Rams money line on cut. Come find me on there. 2 Nobody's Ralph on cut. KUTT. Download the app. Code word Yappin. You get 10% bonus on your first deposit. I will take the Los Angeles Rams money line, even money. I don't need the 1.5. I don't need the plus 110. I will take the Rams to beat the Minnesota Vikings on Monday night in LA because Sam Darnold is straight trash.
Wow. Well, that's our Sam Darnold spiel, but we're gonna hop over to the most trash sport in America at the moment, and that is the National Basketball Association because of how trash it has been. It's been unwatchable. But you want to talk about an issue that you've been seeing with Jimmy Butler and players forcing themselves out of teams.
Yeah, so there, if I'm sure everyone knows, especially if you watch ESPN, the Jimmy Butler saga in Miami. They suspended him 7 games without pay, so he's losing about $2 million. And the only reason they suspended it was because he went public and said, "I don't want to be here. I'm not happy, whatever." And listen, like these guys, Jimmy. First of all, Jimmy he's kind of been an undercover issue guy. When you're this good, you should not be getting traded at the beginning of the season to Philadelphia from Minnesota. If you're this good, you shouldn't be getting traded from Chicago to Minnesota. Like there was something building up there in Chicago. There was something building up in Minnesota where he said, "Oh, the guys weren't professional enough," and blah, blah. And that's basically a knock on Cat at that time, right? And then he goes to Philly and they didn't want to pay him because they didn't feel that he was a max player. And they were correct. He goes to Miami, and in Miami. So for you see people, when Miami hasn't given him the tools or whatever. Listen, he had the tools in Philly. Okay, with Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid, they had the players in place, and he didn't get it done. Okay, because when we look at Joel Embiid, we believe that he's one of the 5 to 10 best players in the league, and Jimmy didn't get it done. And I have an issue with these guys in the NBA more than any other sport, where they hold out or they're crying, "I don't want to play here. I want to play with this guy and with that guy and this and that." And it's like, and the reason that's big in the NBA is because I talked about it the other night, how the NBA is kind of connected to the hip hop culture, which is more of a Democrat culture. It just is. So it comes into play, which has been said before, and I believe it was LeBron who said it, or a high level guy like that. Well, we're not slaves. Well, you guys need to understand that when you watch the NBA draft and there's European players, it says rights to fucking Joseph Nurkic or whatever, the rights are to the Phoenix Suns, for example, right? Well, the American players are the same shit. When you get drafted, your rights to play in the NBA are to that team. You don't have the right to play in the NBA. The NBA is giving you the right to play for them and to play for that team. So the Miami Heat, whether Jimmy Butler likes it or not, they have the rights to him as an NBA player. And I know you guys don't want to hear it because you're not slaves, and they're all the owners are white, and you run with that bullshit that we're not slaves and blah blah blah. Guess what? You are slaves to the NBA, and you are slaves to China, the motherfuckers who pay you that you never say anything about. But at the end of the day, you signed a contract to play for the Miami Heat. That's what you did, Jimmy Butler. You do not have the right to sit here and say, I don't. You can say you don't want to play, fine. That's no problem. That is your right. That's your prerogative. Whatever it is you want to do. You don't want to play, fine. But they don't have to pay you. They don't have to have you sitting around because they can just suspend you because you are being detrimental to the team. That is the truth. They've done plenty to be, and even listen, they've made moves. You guys have made finals. You've made Eastern Conference finals, etc. They've played well. Okay, so maybe your time is done there. Your time is done there, fine. Sit down with Pat. Pat, I don't want to be here. Find me a trade. Let's see what we can do. But when you guys start going public with this shit and crying and this and that, that's why half of America doesn't watch you and they don't like you because you're pouting fucking millionaires that are crying about playing a sport that we can only dream of because you were blessed with a God-given talent. Okay. And some of you weren't blessed with the God-given talent. You were blessed with being fucking 6'9" or 7 feet. Okay. So you were given, you were blessed with that talent, which you put plenty of hard work to get to the point that you're at. But you're crying after making millions of dollars because you don't want to play for XYZ team. You know what? You should have thought about that when you signed a contract. Listen, I got to sign a contract for 5 years here, 4 years, 3 years, whatever it is. If NBA players are going to keep crying, the owner should just sit here and say, listen, all you guys are crybabies. Everyone gets a 1-year fucking deal. Because after a year, you can leave. You can leave. But you know why you don't do that? Because you can't get max money for a year. You can get it for 5. You can get it for 4. That's why you don't do it. So at the end of the day, NBA players are just pouting millionaires who are this generation's players are just absolute pussies. That is the truth. I don't want to play with this guy. I want to play here. I don't want to play there. And at the end of the day, when you're done, the league is still going to be there. The league will still have their contracts. I know the NBA is more of a player than it is a team. The player is usually bigger than the team. Jimmy, you're a good player. You're one of the top 20 players in the NBA, but you don't matter as much as you think you do. You're not Steph Curry. You're not LeBron. You're not Durant. You're not Giannis.
Nope.
You're not Embiid. You don't matter that much. You really don't. So sit your ass there, take your 7-game suspension, and shut the fuck up. But hey, you're a pouting millionaire who's being treated like a slave, right, Jimmy? Are you treated like a slave? You're a big fucking baby. That's what you are. And all NBA players, for the most part, that you sit there and you cry and you want to get traded and this and that, you should read your contract. Get a better lawyer. But you can't because you want to have the cake and eat it too. And yes, I've eaten a lot of cake in my heyday, for sure, as you can tell. So cake is made to eat. I agree with you. But that's the saying here in America. And that's what you guys want. You want to sign your 5-year deals for 220, 230, 250. We're at like 280, 290 now, or we're at 300 now. So that's what you want. And then in 2 years, when you don't like the situation, you want out. That's what Jimmy Butler is showing you. That's what Kevin Durant showed you. And people who watch this are like, oh, LeBron didn't. No, LeBron was a free agent. That was different. Okay. So all you LeBron haters, you know who you are. You're going to comment. That's what LeBron did. No, LeBron went and teamed up with another player, but he didn't cry to get traded. These guys are crying mid-season to get traded. That is the difference. When you sign a contract, you should honor it. You don't want to stay for that long, then find a clause, find a 2-year opt out after 2 years, sign a 1-year deal. But you don't, because you want to have the money. You want to have the money and you want to bitch about it. At the end of the day, Jimmy Butler, when you're gone, guess who's still there? The Miami Heat. They're still an NBA team. They will still be an NBA team when Jimmy Butler's ass is sitting at home or playing golf somewhere, hopefully.
Mhm.
But that is the way it works. And I'm tired of these guys, bitching and crying. Stephen A. Smith said, "Oh, that's a bad look on Miami and the new players, the way they are, and blah blah blah." Like, Stephen A., do you not realize how much money these guys make? They don't give a fuck. Most of them don't give a fuck where it comes from. Okay, they don't. You think guys care where their $40 million come from? If it's in Oklahoma City or in Miami? Most of them don't. Most of them do not, because there's only 10 players in that league that actually really deserve that money. Other than that, the other ones, they're not that good to deserve it. But hey, the league makes the money, so the players deserve it. Deserve to get paid for it because they're the product. But you don't deserve to cry and moan when you want to leave and you want to bow out of your contract. So good shit, Miami Heat. Way to stand down, especially in a superstar that's on your team, and you put your foot down and you let them have it. So kudos to the Miami Heat. Jimmy Butler, you're a crybaby.
Well, that's that. And that is our sports section. And we're going to hop into our fun section when we get together and talk about our fucking politicians.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The greatest politician of them all wants to buy Greenland. So we are on a re-expansion of America. I personally think that he is really just trying to piss people off, and he's trolling.
I see. I don't believe he's trolling. And by the way, I want to address your introduction real quick. So Donald Trump, to me, is not a politician. I think he's only been an elected official for 4 years. He never, whatever. But anyways, technically, he's the president of the United States. So technically, it does fall under politics. But you know what I mean. And if you don't, then you're probably just a liberal. But so I don't think that he's trolling, and I'll tell you why. The United States has tried to buy Greenland. I think this is now the 5th or 6th time that they've tried to acquire them. Okay. And dating all the way back to, I think, 1857, when they purchased Alaska, I think it was. So that or might have been a little bit, but it's been plenty at 1910. There's plenty of times they've tried to purchase Greenland, and it hasn't worked out. And so now, and Trump back in 2019 as president last time, he gave Denmark some money to do some research there and stuff like that. I think it was 12. It wasn't much. It's like $12 million or something. Much less than what Biden's giving Ukraine. But that's for another day, or maybe not. But anyway, so Trump's making this play, and I believe this more than I believe the Gulf of America. That I believe that Gulf of America comment today, I think was trolling. But Trump is so diehard on Mexico stopping the immigration train that just somehow just rolls through there, and they just get from the south of the country to the border in a matter of days and weeks, and without the Mexican government ever stopping them, basically. So it's like, we're just passing through. And
I'm gonna weigh in here because I kind of agree with you, and I'm thinking that he is going to press so many buttons that have just been. He's going to give the American people everything that they want and more, and he's going to do that in these type of ways as well. Like, fuck it, we're gonna change the fucking Gulf name because I'm here now. Fuck it, you're gonna threaten Canada with buying Canada because I'm here now. And you see, people are not really against any of this. I'm not seeing any big outcry. I'm seeing a lot of support.
Well, wait till CNN gets a hold of it and The View. And, what are the people of Greenland gonna do? Be Americans. How's that? How's that?
Because and people don't know, Greenland is not its own country. Greenland is owned by the Dutch. It's owned by the Netherlands. So like they're not free.
I think it's owned by Denmark.
Oh, you might be right. One of
Yeah,
those fucking
they're Danish.
Scandinavian countries.
Yeah, they're Danish, so it's definitely Denmark.
So one of those Scandinavian countries in that area owns Greenland. They're not independent. Like they're not independent at all. So if we buy them, nothing's changing for them besides the fact that they might get more aid, more money, more GDP, more resources, more military support. So
Well, I
there's
mean, we
that.
do have a really big base in Greenland, so I mean, there's already military support there. But yes,
Even
I
more.
it's perfect for, and for those of you that are liberal thinking and will say that oh, we can't just go about around buying shit and this and that. Greenland is a tactical position territory.
Yes.
Okay, it's in the Arctic. It threatens it not that it threatens China and Russia. It kind of like, hey, like, that's American now. It's like that is part of America. So there's like a, we'd have a threshold there bigger than what we already do to kind of control that area a little more. That's what the play is for. Obviously, all the minerals there that could be explored that haven't been
Right.
explored yet or whatever. So there's plenty that can come of the U.S. acquiring Greenland that would benefit the people there and the United States of America. So, yeah, and what people need to realize, which I think they struggle to realize, is that Donald Trump does everything that he does is to make this country better, whether you believe it or not. And I know a lot of you do not want to believe it because you think it's unhumane or whatever. The boys can be girls and all that shit. That's what you guys believe. Okay. And but everything that he does, and he said it years ago on Oprah when she asked him, when they were friends, when he wasn't a racist, when he went on Oprah and she asked him, "Would you ever run for president?" And he said, "Only if I felt the country needed it." And that's why he did it. And he did it 3 times, and he won twice. So for you guys who don't understand and are naive to it, and you will be closed-minded because CNN and The View and
The rest of the media
the
corporation
rest of the
thing.
media, MSNBC and all of them, are telling you that everything that he does is bad. Everything that he does is in the best interest of the United States. Whether you guys think, oh, it's in the best interest of his friends. Well, last time I checked, George Soros, who is a friend of the Clintons and Joe Biden and Barack Obama, is loaded with money. Does he not reap the benefits from all the tax breaks? So and that's what you'll see. You'll see CJ in the next coming days, and as the play becomes, and I think it's a play for, and I think Trump will try for the next 4 years to make that play to purchase Greenland. I really do.
Well, he's a
And
nuke right now. They're in Greenland as we speak.
yeah, so I mean, there's a play for that, and as you will see it play out, you will see that CNN and MSNBC and the rest of the leftist media will spin this as whatever, we're invading Greenland is what you might see, because they are that stupid, and people who watch them are that stupid. So I mean, it's blinding. It's ridiculous that people can be this dumb. And you guys you should start. People, there's a lot of people who don't watch the news, and what they get is information from CNN or CNN clips or whatever, or their friends who are fucking on CNN all day, or their mom or their aunt or whatever that are on CNN all day or MSNBC, and you guys don't actually like realize certain things. Like, take a look around. Do you think it's a coincidence that Justin Trudeau stepped down? Do you think it's a
Hello.
coincidence that he resigned? It's not a
Hello.
coincidence. That's not a coincidence at all. Do you think it's a coincidence that the guy who's leading to be the prime minister is a person who challenged Joe Biden on their stand on Israel? I mean, the guy who's leading and will probably be the next prime minister of Canada is a right-leaning politician.
Just so everybody knows, he's the leader of the Conservative Party in Canada. I understand people don't understand parliamentary systems, but they don't have a two-party system. They have coalitions. So it's like if AOC and the far left were in their own coalition with Bernie Sanders, and if Nikki Haley and the neocons were in their own sector, they have coalitions of parties, and he is a leader of the Conservative Party, which in the previous 12 years has been getting vote raised in every election. And Pierre Poilievre currently sits at 90% poll.
Right. So for people to understand, so you can see that the world is shifting a little bit here, because a lot of these people are getting tired, and there's got to be a lot of young people that are getting tired of the ridiculous leftist thoughts, the healthcare for all, we all should make the same amount of money, the rich should pay more money in taxes. They pay more money. They shouldn't pay a higher percentage, is what my take will always be on it. But at the end of the day, they will always pay more because they make more. I just don't think they should percentage more than you. That's my opinion. But at the end of the day, the Argentinian election last year went to a candidate similar to Trump in a country that's been leaning left for the last decade or maybe two. And now they've seen huge improvement. I have a lot of Argentina friends who hadn't gone back for a decade because of how bad the situation was. So world is El Salvador, another president who people initially thought was communist when he first came into the office. And then he realized this motherfucker's a capitalist, is what he is. And God forbid you jail anyone here in this country for, we're violating their human rights for killing fucking people, it seems, at some point. That's how ridiculous we've gotten in some of these states. So the world is starting to take notice in a lot of places. And it might not be in Europe, because Europe is caught up with the same bullshit as here, as the young people here. The boys can be girls, we need to immigration, and we need to let all these people in because their country's fucked up. And well, no, they're just going to come and fuck up our country. They're going to come and fuck up and take here from you. But but it's starting to turn a little bit, and hopefully in the next couple of years we can get it with a bigger turnaround, and we can hopefully see it. And a lot of these people who think and I've heard this comment before, we were laughing stock when Trump was the president. No, we weren't, because he went to North Korea and North Korea stopped doing. I didn't hear any they weren't even having missile tests.
Trump was the first president in United States history to cross the parallel between South and North Korea and shake the North Korean dictator's hand. Like, come on now.
So, like I was saying, Trump is he's going to set a tone, and people, you shouldn't be embarrassed that he's our president, because the people in Europe, they're not making fun of you. The people in Europe who understand, those are the people that wish that their politicians were a lot more like Trump.
100%.
That's what they're looking for. And you see it with marches in Germany and in England and a lot of those places, especially when he won. There were a lot of places that were very excited that he won. And you're going to see a lot more we're going to see a lot less of these domestic terrorists, because if we see one, believe me, if it comes from ISIS, believe me, the next day, the minute they have the information, whether it's in a cave or whatever the fuck, he's blowing it up wherever it's at. Doesn't matter, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Syria, Lebanon, whatever. So the world will not be able to get away with things that they have been getting away with for the last 3.5 years with Donald Trump as the president.
Hell no.
And Russia, China, Lebanon, the Palestinians, Iran, like, that shit is not happening. I'm sorry. And the sooner that the people in the United States realize it, the better off you'll be. Because at the end of the day, do you not realize that The View, CNN, Rachel Maddow, The Morning Joe, and Good Morning Cup of Joe, or whatever the fuck the show's called, why do you think that those people on a daily basis, that is all they do, is to knock Trump down? That is every single day. Why do you think that is? what's the explanation? Is he that bad? Or are they trying to run their own agenda? And that's what it is. Because no president has ever been scrutinized more than Donald Trump. Nobody. Ever. Ever. Bill Clinton cheated on his wife in the Oval Office. I think he put a cigar in Monica Lewinsky's pussy was the rumor. Dead ass. That was a rumor. Swear to God. No, where's the scrutiny? Where is it? How much did they scrutinize Joe Biden? Not much. Not much.
Not at all.
They were there defending him. They were defending him when people were saying that he had lost it. Chuck Schumer. Oh, no, he hasn't lost a step. You guys are crazy, blah, 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 blah. And then you force him to step down and you use the excuse that he lost it. No shit. We told you he lost it 3 years ago. So those are the things that people it's just common sense shit that you don't realize. And the sooner that this country realizes that common sense still goes a long way, the better off we'll be.